Lee, and were you aware of her before you met her?
This is an interesting thing because I never actually met Tanith in person, and we talked on the phone. We corresponded via emails, physical letters. She sent me books. I sent her things, but we've never really been in the same room. And I feel like I have missed out on the impossibility because Tanith was my favorite author. She still is, bar none. There is no other author in any language that is, to me, more important than Tanith Lee. She is the poetic goddess, I would call her. And she changed my writing life because I became an author. I started writing really early. And to be honest, English is not my first language. I came from the USSR as a refugee, as a little child, and we got here through Lebanon during their war. They had a civil war. Then we arrived in the United States, and I learned English. And some of my earliest memories were reading fantasy, science fiction, and none of it compared. The minute I hit upon Tanith Lee's The Birth Grave, that was my revelation. I don't know, actually, I think I read it as soon as it came out, and it was in one of those old Daw Books editions, and it just blew everything out of the water. There's no other writer at that point that was writing with such poetry, such incredible prose. The style that Tanith had was just, it was really prose that was poetic. And I have never encountered this kind of thing before, and I just obsessed. I started to read anything possible that had Tanith Lee on the cover, on the spine, and a lot of them were yellow, old yellow Daw book spines. So I would see it and I would see if it's Tanith. And then I started to write my own books, and I was mostly doing a lot of fantasy in those days. And everything that I was doing was somehow in the back of my mind inspired by beauty and myth and poetry of English writers would be like Oscar Wilde. I would compare Tanith Lee to Oscar Wilde, the kind of level of smart, brilliant, elegant, beautiful kind of, it just takes you off to this gothic, dark, unbelievable other world. So I was inspired by that, and I started to write. And then finally, after lots of years after I was actually published, doing some other things, I got to I think I actually wrote Tanith because I started my small press Norilana Books, and it was basically started as 2008 as a small publishing house to produce classics of world literature. And then I started to publish some other living authors. And then I fell into financial situation problems where I could not do that anymore. So, but that's later. So I reached out, I believe, to Tanith around 2008, I think the middle of 2000, actually, or 2007. And I must have just emailed her through somebody that I knew in the industry. And she responded, and I said, Tanith, I would love to reissue your books, because Tanith Lee was in the middle of being not published anywhere. I mean, her books were out of print. What in the world? How can you do this? This greatest author was being just forgotten. Just, her Tales of the Flat Earth, the Birth Grade trilogy, Wars of This, all these books were like not there. So I reached out to her, and somehow or another, she wrote back, and it was email. And then we started, and then we had a phone call, and I sent her one of my novels, which was Lords of Rainbow. That this book, it's actually out of print right now, so you will not see it anywhere. But this book was about a world without color, and it had this handsome blonde hero, which was totally inspired by Tanith Nazarian and some of the other beautiful men, because Tanith, unlike other people at the time writing fantasy, she would focus on the male beauty, and she had these demon lords. And so I sent her a copy of that book. She read it. She enjoyed it. She wrote me back, and I wrote, back and forth. And I made a press release back in January 16, 2008 was when we decided to have this dedicated imprint. This is completely her idea, because I was just going to do Norilana Books. I didn't know any better. So Tanith said, we're going to put it under TaLeKa, TaLeKa. And it was capitalized, interestingly. It was uppercase T, lowercase a, uppercase L, lowercase e, uppercase K, lowercase a. And the KA part was for Kane, as in John Kane. So that was just amazing. She put herself, Tanith Lee and John Kane, in one word. And that's what that was supposed to be. And the books that we started to publish, starting with, I published her works from September 1, 2009 through February 2014. So we started with, we were doing Knight's Master, book 1 of Tales of the Flat Earth. Then we had Sounds and Furies, which was an original collection, never previously published, and it was a World Horror Convention special edition. It was a short story collection. Then we went back to Death's Master, The Birthgrave, Delusion's Master, Delirium's Mistress, which unfortunately had to be canceled. I had the book all ready to go, and we even had, review copies mailed out, but because like I said, my small press imploded. I could not pay royalties. It was just horrible. But what happens is my small press right now only publishes me and public domain work. So I don't do living authors anymore. And when I had to go and tell Tanith that this was happening, she really did not want to. She actually wanted me to keep going with it. But I said, Tanith, this is just not good for anyone. I'm not doing this right. So I gave back all her rights, and luckily, this little period of time from 2009 to 2014 was when her books was kind of, they were made available, and Daw Books finally picked it up again because they were the original publisher. So they picked her up and reissued and started. So Tanith's work went back into circulation, but I was like tied her over until it happens type of thing. And then of course came in people like Storm Constantine, who'd had her wonderful Emmanuel Press. And, there are other small presses. Then there's people like Craig Gidney. And I think, I'm trying to think if he has if there's a little press associated, but all these wonderful people who just, great fans, inspired by Tanith. And one thing I want to tell this is just very special to me. Tanith, she had something called her nieces. Okay. I don't know if you are aware of this thing, but Tanith felt that there were several younger or whatever, other authors. Wait, we're here. Tanith is up there. We're here. So there were several women authors who were writing in her spirit, and she felt that Tanith didn't really want to have kids, and she told me that she just wanted to have nieces instead. So she felt more comfortable with that designation. So she called me one of my nieces, and this is how it happened. I was talking to her on the phone. She was in England. I was here in America. And I think back then I was was I in California? Yes. No, maybe not. I don't know. I'm in Vermont right now. So Tanith and I were talking, and here's the thing. I don't have the best hearing because I used to do a lot of phone work doing tech support in the 90s with headsets. So my hearing is shot. And she has a strong British accent. It was beautiful, but I cannot hear it very well. So she is telling me that, like something about me being her niece, and I'm like, yes, Tanith, because of course my mind is blown every time I would talk to her. It's like, I'm talking to Tanith, I can't hear anything. So, and she told me this, and I said, thank you. And then I did not quite understand what she meant by this. And then later on, I hung up, and it occurred to me. She said she literally told me that I'm one of her nieces in the literary sense. And I was just like, how could I should have screamed on the phone to her, but I didn't understand. I did not quite understand what was going on. So later on, just to give you this idea, this beautiful, beautiful collection came out. This is after she left us. Tanith Lee left us, and this was one of the books that thank you to John Kane on his beautiful, gorgeous covers. I was one of the people included, but we'll talk about this later. I want to quickly show you just the editions because we're talking about Tanith's books. This is the beautiful, beautiful editions that we did. We did hardcover and trade paperback. Covers are done by artist John Kane, her spouse. So her husband did these amazing covers, starting with Knight's Master. Look at that. Knight's Master, Death's Master. It's Delusion's Master.
I know those are
These
beautiful
books that I don't know if you can even find them. They're very they're small editions. So because like I said, I'm a micro press. Oh, falling apart. So this is I can't find the birth grave. I have it somewhere, packed away, but these are the books. And these editions, these are gorgeous. They're completed, vetted by Tanith. We had, when she gave me the manuscripts, we went over them. She did tiny little tweaks. So she did as any author would after you have had a book out for a while. If you're doing a reissue, you may want to proof it a little. So she did all that. These are perfectly, we had an introduction, the beautiful artwork, and this is the kind of thing we had. These are Tanith's books. And then we had to stop that. Like, again, I could not keep doing that. So in the meantime, Tanith left us. So in 2015, actually a day before my birthday. So I'm still like, I'm thinking, thank God it was not on my birthday, because I would have been like traumatized. I would be for the rest of my life, traumatized, but that doesn't matter. She left us, and I also lost my mom on the same year. So it's like, that was an incredible loss, but she has not left us. Tanith is still with us as long as her books are out here. And I know this is a very long answer to your question. How did I meet Tanith? I have not really met her. She kind of entered me, entered my mind, entered my spirit, entered my soul, and everything that I did since and has been inspired by her work, because she's amazing. She's just stunning, amazing. And I don't know if you want to ask me anything else, because I could keep going with this.
No, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing all that. I mean,
Yeah.
even imagine like meeting someone, I mean, even if it wasn't in person, I mean,
Yes, yes.
today that like that, the boundaries between in person and online are,
Oh gosh, yes. It was meeting
or on the
my
phone.
hero. She
Yeah.
was my hero, and she was, unlike that proverb or saying, people say, oh, don't meet your heroes.
Yeah.
Oh no, she was better than I expected. She was gracious, she was kind, she was just a wonderful person. And I just, I did not realize how short our acquaintance would be, because she would pass. I
Yeah.
did not realize this was going to happen. So I had all these hopes that, oh, I'll go to England, or, we'll have one like a world fantasy. I'll come and meet her. But I just never had that chance. So it's, but she's here. She's always here. Everything I write, everything I do.